engage them, to motivate them, and to inspire them. Images. When your arms are aloft, that's when they're going to stiff you. I learnt nothing winning. I learnt everything losing. When you win, everybody pats you on the back. You go into a comfort zone without realizing that very soon you have to prepare for adversity. You have to prepare for that one moment where you will take your eye off the ball. I got injured within a week of winning that particular world title. But I had come back from injury and losing the World Championships in '84. So that was my re-emergence. It was my attempt to redouble my efforts and win gold for a third time. The unique skills of competition karate is I also led a Great Britain team. 3 of my medals came from leading one of the most successful teams in sport. We dominated world karate and lost only 1 bout in 50 world championship bouts. We dropped only 10 points for the stats. But ultimately, it meant nothing if one in that 5-man team did not succeed. If I did not go out and lead by example, they could not have followed that example. Leadership and responsibility. It is a requirement for each and every one of you. But images, ultimately, the man who taught me that 99% of fitness is between the ears, a true sporting humanitarian in Arthur Ashe. And don't forget, he was playing Jimmy Connors. Jimmy Connors played like how they expected him to play, and Arthur Ashe played like how they expected Jimmy Connors to play. He completely psyched him out. Arthur Ashe was the man who came to the inner city communities that I grew up in Brixton after the riots. He came and showed the humanitarian touch that Ali had showed in earlier years. But he took it to the United Nations. He took it to Soweto in South Africa. When he needed to show that sport could be more than just sport. It had to be a social vehicle of change. A man that believed that education was the truest form of education. Sport. It was culture. And it had to be more than just about the winning. But images. Because that, for me, is still what it's about. Because women say we can hold our own. Well, I have a wife who can hold her own. They do it with style, with technique, with precision. We boys bang and scrape and bruise. Balance. Life's about balance. It's about weighing up the pros and cons, the decisions, the choices you make. Whether it's a 100th of a second, or whether it's over a longer period of endurance. Speed endurance, explosive speed, core fitness, core strength. These are all terminologies you're told. But what is the spirit and desire that burns within? Are you just taking care of business? Are you just earning the corn? Are you just about what you need to be about? And then speak to my agent. That's the one thing that crawls me. Speak to my agent. I always counted my own money. I always knew the balance. I always went and articulated and presented exactly what the nature of my deal would be. Ultimately, that would get me in trouble with the administrators, but we reached and negotiated, because life and sport's about a negotiation. All of you descended and started upon a path. Where will that path lead you? Images. Jim Brown, LA riots, went back on the streets. Someone who's used sport and the arts, from sport, civil rights, to Hollywood, back to the streets of LA, downtown LA, the Crips and the Bloods. Because one thing that unifies us all, we all bleed red. That's something I always discovered when I drew blood from an opponent and they looked me in the eye. That intense look. You know that look where you want to find out whether that person is going to really push you to your limits, bring out the best in you, or you're simply going to have an easy day at the office. What is your office? What is your arena? What is your product? Because sometimes I think it is too much of a product. It's too much bling. It's too much thing. And it's not enough essence. It's not enough substance. But Jim Brown went to those streets because I was to go to LA, but we'll go back to that story somewhat later. Because once you've won the titles and no one wants the autograph, or you have an injury, and I guarantee you, you will have an injury. I guarantee you, you will lose. But how will you use the lessons learned in your journey to date to overcome the challenges and opportunities in life? Because that's all that sport prepares you for. No matter how much bag slapping, how many medals you win, how many sportsmen and women do you know who successfully make the transition into life? It's a very, very small illumi. With images. Jack Johnson, he boxed for up to 40 rounds. He used to upset everybody. He pushed the boundaries and barriers. The emancipation of his enslaved beginnings saw him fighting for his freedom, so that he prepared the platform for the alleys of the world. But I remember being in a room, 4-to-a room it was, with my mother, because my father died at a young age. I was angry. No one listened to what I had to say. No one asked me how I felt. I was angry. But by then, Muhammad Ali was doing what he needed to do. He said what he was going to do, and he was doing what he needed to do. By then, I was looking for people I could relate to. He was the only person at that time that they were giving a lot of airtime, because they expected him to fall down on his face, or someone was going to knock him on his face. The Louisville lip. Everyone wanted to bust those lips, but he could articulate and rap before anyone thought about rapping. He could artistically convey and artistically present his intention, his purpose, and his reason for being. By then I decided that I would want to do something. And I walked through a door, because I was bullied at school. I wasn't blessed with this height. It's always great when you go back to your school and give trophies out. And those guys who gave you a hard time at school are now having to look at you and be nice to you. I mean, really nice to you. Because at school is where it's all developed. It's where we develop some of the life characteristics, good and bad, that will take us and motivate us to why we're here today and why we'll continue the journey. But images will always provoke. The pose. Hey, you guys, remember we posed? They were posing a long time ago. Hardship was hard. Life was hard. Sometimes I think it's so easy. Is there anyone here who has to want for anything as they pursue their excellence? This is a wonderful environment. It seems to have everything. I was training in your gym today. I went into your changing rooms. We used to hitchhike to a training or a venue before a competition, hide in the lockers, and then come out in the morning to save money. My World Championship final in '82 saw a Frenchman on a bonus of $50,000 to beat me. It cost me $8,000 to be there. How was he going to beat me? But images. Arms held aloft. Images. They provoke something. You want to relate to it. You want to do what she is doing. Intergenerationally. Michael Jordan came to Britain when basketball hadn't even took off. Famine for Africa. We met backstage. I had the titles. He was to become the global phenomenon he became. He was quiet then. He is quiet now. But he came alive on the basketball court. That's when he became what he became. That's when he realized what he could realize and generate a culture and generation that would transcend cultures and boundaries, a global phenomenon. But it is what it is. That image means lots of things to lots of different people. First minute, first round. Not 15 rounds. What if? What if history had been changed? Images. Jesse Owens achieved all that he achieved at university and in his Olympic excellence on 2 hours of sleep per day, every 24-hour cycle. Is there anyone here surviving on 2 hours or less? Okay. But what I'm saying is, it was tough, it was hard, faster, higher, stronger. His last medal, the long jump medal, would be realized by an Aryan opponent. Someone who was told he was superior by the color of his skin. But if his opponent had not moved and told him he just needed to move his marker a few inches, his run-up would not have been correct. Sometimes it's the little things that make a big difference. But images. Sport is fashion. Who here has a sports contract? Anyone? I remember I had my contract. I had my overalls. My karate suit was my overalls. But my tracksuit is where I hang out. That's where I relaxed. That's where you pose. Most of you are wearing the colours of what you represent. They're the colours that represent an institution, a team, a logo, a symbol, whether it be 3 stripes of Adidas or the swoosh of Nike. It is what you belong to. It is what by your winning you will project. And others will not want to also be like you. They will want to wear what you wear. But fashion is what it's about. It's a statement. It's a intergenerational statement. But images always impress. Who saw that performance this year? It was the performance of the last 10 to 15 years. Who saw the focus and the intensity in her eyes? Whether she had been on a boxing ring, whether she'd been on a track, whatever in whatever arena she had been in, Serena would have delivered the goods. Because it transcends. Every shot counted. Every shot was the last shot. But she wasn't expected to. They told her she wouldn't. How many times was Ali told that? How many times did he just get up and keep going? By 1974, I was growing up. I had testosterone as my first natural high. I was aggressive. By the way, my mum was the best coach I ever had. The only person who could knock me out again, pick me up and knock me out again. The ultimate warrior. But we were in that room when the rumble in the jungle took place. But the significance of it in Africa, in Zaire, with Mobutu. Because that's when I decided I was going to be a world champion. That's when I decided that after doing karate, I could take my size, my aspirations, my inspirations, and my potential and do what I was going to do. Because images are about what generations bring. But that told you what she was coming for. That fist is something that no one would have wanted to encounter. But images will always convey what images should convey. The doves of peace. In that particular mural and piece of art is what Ali has been about. The civil rights in the bottom right. To the globe of the world and Africa that he will have traveled to transcend the impact of his influence. To take everything that he was about, to transcend in the ring what he could do out of the ring. To inspire. Because images, ultimately, will be about from father to daughter. 61st birthday today. This year, I'm sorry. It's worth noting that his daughter was in Africa. The Ali Spirit returned to Africa. The first heavyweight women's world championship bout. It's amazing how things come full cycle. And she went to Soweto. And she connected with the young, just as Ali did in '74. Because that was just not about him winning a world heavyweight or regaining a world heavyweight championship. It was about resonating with a people that he could connect with. Whether you be in the Americas, whether you be in Africa, whether you be in Europe, whether you be in Asia, whether you be in Australasia. It's how you transcend all 5 continents. But images. Winning is nice. It's great, isn't it? We all smile. We enjoy it. It's a warm glow. People want to remember those memories. But images. The tiger. You cats. A lot of people dog Tiger because they say he's too intense. He doesn't share his love. But it's an intense and lonely path winning. So think about it. It is not an easy undertaking. It is a lonely place to be. So the relationships and friendships and the family relationships you developed here, cherish them. Make them count. Because they will help you through the hard times. But images will always project. Because I will tell you now, as a child, I couldn't understand that. On their greatest moment of glory and achievement, why would they have made such a statement? Why were they not happy? Why weren't they excelling and feeling that glow that I knew some years later they were to feel? Sport is society. Sport is faith. Sport is belief. Sport is about all the subjects we would want to avoid. How many times do we say, I'm just getting on with my winning? I don't do politics. Sport is politics. It is economics. It is social, cultural, spiritual. It is everything it should be and everything it shouldn't be. But it is what it is. Remember the guy who was second. Can you imagine how uncomfortable he felt? Look how uncomfortable he is. Do you know they forged a lifelong relationship